to get the heading wrong.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Empowerment.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Always an honor to come and talk to colleagues from Samoa. I've taken off my hat as the respondent to the earlier questions, to now being the presenter to the Samoa family.
And we'll ask you questions.
We will deal with the topic saying development of strategy for the formalization and empowerment, not empowerment, of small bus operators. I've been talking to Samoa audience for many years now. The one thing that they did in the past, they give you a topic and give you pointers from the things that they wanted to hear. It helped a lot. And then the presentation this morning will tell you that that type of an arrangement would have helped also. I still believe that the Devo's presentation coming after Prof's presentation was supposed to then have dealt with some of the issues that were raised earlier on. But that is not my space. My space is very simple. The presentation outline will deal with the introduction and background. I will deal with the situation as it is now. We'll talk around issues of formalization, empowerment, capacity building, inputs from stakeholders, among them Samoa, and then we will conclude. Every time and everywhere, when we talk about particularly integration of road-based modes, we talk buses and taxis. Even this morning, I'm sure you saw, when the issues were indicated around integration, it was an integration of taxis into the formalized bus system. Very little is always said about the small bus operators, and I see the majority of them here. So we've taken a decision as the department to then see how best can we formalize the small bus operators so that they can come into mainstream public transport. There was a summit in 2009 which came with 3 recommendations, very similar to recommendations made around 1997 for the taxi mode that was and still is informal, was disorganized, slightly organized these days. But those issues were basically formalization, empowerment, and capacity building. And those things were the issues that the small bus operators raised in 2009. And those are the issues that informs us in terms of developing this formalization plan or strategy for the small bus operators. I will not bore you, I'm definitely not going to this text-based presentation, but I'll just talk to the issues. Basically, we would want the small bus operators to participate in the mainstream public transport system. We would want, when we are ready, with the contract, they be tendered or negotiated contract. Be sure that you are also ready as small bus operators. There is this issue around subcontracting or set aside. That is not my space. That was Devo's space. But believe me that I don't have a view whether we need to continue subcontracting or whether we need to emphasize more on set aside. But our aim is very clear. Our mission remains very clear, that we cannot continue the way we are. All right, we still have issues around funding and monies. We are going to resolve those issues. When we get into that mode of negotiations or tendered contracts, we would definitely need to see participation en masse by the small bus operators or the small players who were not participating before. So I hope the big bus operators are not here. But in simple terms, where possible, we will break the big contracts into small manageable contracts deliberately to ensure that we accommodate small bus operators. That is the aim. And I kind of like where the results of the survey conducted by Prof. Because it talks to the issues that we would want to put forth to you. The issues around the negotiated contracts. You know, you see, tender contracts sometimes might not be the solution for all of us. For government, it might not be the solution to make sure that it empowers small bus operators. But for also your big bus operators, so-called big bus operators, it might not be the solution because we might not necessarily look at pricing and related issues, but we might concentrate on other issues, which are empowerment and so on and so on. So negotiations, according to me, and I said it earlier, a year in this same format, Santiago conference of last year, I said it, and I still mean it. And we're working on legislation to make sure that we are so biased towards negotiated contracts, vis-a-vis tender contracts, because it is the only way, or maybe, not the only way, but it's the ideal way that we would want to embark on, and which will give us the opportunity to empower small bus operators to unbundle big contracts and matters related to that. Okay. You might not like it, let's say, big bus operator because of cross-subsidization of course and related issues. You might want us to go tender routes. But you say we are government again. I said it the other day, I said we are government. We can deliberately make sure that whatever makes you to be at an advantage become a disadvantage. Again. And it's us who awards this contract, right? So, negotiated contracts are a win-win. Okay, that is not the subject for today. But that process of formalization of the small bus operations, we have already drafted an MOU, and we've already drafted what we call the standard constitution. We are mindful of the fact that certain provinces have moved forward in terms of formalization. They've got structures, they've got local structures, regional structures, and provincial structures. We were told in both as early as 2009, but also in the consultative conference that we held last year, that there are those structures. But I doubt if they can say to us, we have nothing to do with you as government. Because we will be dangling a carrot that is up. There are low-hanging fruits there for easy access. But the main part is once formalized, we can make a strong case to assist such formations in the manner that we are assisting the taxi industry. The question was said, why are you so biased towards the taxi industry? And we went to town. We did not answer it directly, but the bottom line is, out of the entrepreneurship exercise, the taxi industry was the only informal mode that got government assistance. And I do believe that it was unfair. We believe that there are small bus operators whose conditions are the same as those of the taxi operators. I'm going to skip some of the things because I'm talking out of the heart on these issues. And therefore, they might not necessarily be important. But what we are saying is what we found is that you are fragmented, they are fragmented, not organized, except for those perhaps that have been taken under the wings of Samoa, because Samoa, we've been told, is doing something for you small bus operators. Under the auspices of Samoa, there are issues of training, capacity building, and empowerment. They are preparing you for contracting. That is something true. Okay. I will talk later. But Prof. earlier on indicated that why should we kill subcontracting? And I kind of agree. I don't think that we necessarily are saying we do away with subcontracting. But we say we would want meaningful participation. That is much more on a larger scale than subcontracting. We were told about around 680 buses of small bus operators subcontracted to the major bus operators as early as 2000, 2001, 2002 in particular. I think it will be very important and interesting to see how many of those buses are still left as subcontractors. And that's basically why this subcontracting as a term, or as the way to go, needs to be reviewed. The majority of the people who were given subcontracts took those stakes back to the main contractor. You don't know why. You don't know whether they were struggling financially, they could not do it, or it was just deliberate. Get a contract 3 months later, bring back my business. So, a recognition of whether you call it set aside, but even if it's subcontracting, it needs to be, the terms needs to be very clear. And the terms need to be so clear that they don't disadvantage the subcontracted party or even the main contractor. So it's a win-win situation. The majority of these small bus operators participate in the market that they just identified themselves, foreign transport services. It is becoming a very huge market. I think in the country is spending close to 3 billion in this service. So that is if your stake in the 3 billion is still 20,000 annum, I don't know how much of a percentage that is. But even in that space, you see, it is very easy because this is cool. There's so many learners. It is easy to deploy 1 or 2 or 3 buses. Now, when you get to bigger contracts, where you'll be required to provide, say, 20, 50 buses, it is going to be very difficult from an individual small bus operator to be able to do that. Hence, these issues around formalization is coupled with issues around empowerment and the encouragement of these small bus operators to operate as a collective, not individually. And I'll indicate some of the issues that we're dealing with. Now, for effective assistance, not necessarily regulation and control, we therefore believe that it is important that you need to be formalized. We will not force you. It's a voluntary thing. I'll deal with it when we deal with the issues that Samoa has raised. Because it is better for us to deal with people who have come in voluntarily and they get formalized, but when they get in, they then have to play with the rules of the games that have been set. Than if people are fragmented out there. We don't have any business. Government doesn't want to run operations. We never run affairs. But we are saying if there are opportunities within government, then we know that individually, so you may not necessarily be able to participate. Why don't we assist forming into packages? I don't know whether people can be formed into packages, but form into collectives that can collectively participate in some of these initiatives that we are having. We have an interim structure coming out of the last year's consultative conference with co-opted members from provinces, 2 per province, and 2 from Saboa. So Saboa, we do recognize your inputs and your efforts. That's why we also are making you a 10th province in this setup. This is the proposed model. The figures were planted earlier on. 140,000 taxi operators or taxis. But if you're talking operator owner 1 or 2 per vehicle, you're talking around 100,000 operators. So for them, it was ideal to have local associations, regional structures, provincial structures, and then national structures. I don't think that small bus operators have those numbers. Where I come from, Hamashishad, near Purukwan, there's only one small bus operator. So if you are going to form a local structure, Mawale will be the only member, and then the executive, and then the chairperson, and everything else in that space. Now, I still believe that we can deal with this area here. The regional small bus operator council also, I don't know if we can make the numbers. But you see, we put this three model to accommodate provinces with bigger numbers of small bus operators, like KZN, like Pumaland is also coming through, but also Western Cape. So we are allowing for that flexibility. However, what is ideal, and this was my argument with the team, that if you had a 2-tier, very easy to manage, and also less expensive for government. I guess and some of what we want to do is to assist financial support to make you stand on your feet, issues of administration, office setup, and so on and so on. So you buy cheaper and so on. We cut it to 2 levels. This is just an explanation of a representation of how it would need to look like. Unfortunately, the 10th province disappears here. And there's a reason to that. The main reason being that we believe that members of Saboa, even if they're small bus operators, they live in provinces most. Yeah. There's no province called Saboa. There's in Pumalanga, there's whatever. So my contest at election and then come properly through an elective process, proper election process. Now, issues around empowerment, just a brilliant text there, but what we are saying is that part of the empowerment schemes is that if you form yourselves into cooperatives, you are better positioned to collectively bid for one government business. But government is also responsible to ensure that through black economic empowerment and related schemes, ensure that we sort it out. And the issues around training, obviously, still along the same lines. The drivers would have to get training around the driver behavior That is, unfortunately, we might not be in a position to pay for your fees at RTMC to go and access information. I don't know how we can do that, but now if I want to see my files, I go to the internet free. I only pay for the airtime on the internet and I get the information. So maybe you must get your drivers to give you the ID number. And then you punch it in there to tell you how many points you still left with. So that you don't appoint somebody who does not have points anymore and has his license suspended already. By the way, ARP is at the pilot stage, and it's very imminent that in the 2 cities that is being piloted it will be implemented. So the points that we're still getting are just for demonstration purposes only. But they would mean reality. And I think, whether government or whatever, I also have already accumulated some points. I might not disclose how many. But we can lose all 12 points in one day. Again, that is how if you drive from here to Nelspruit and you consistently speed, but 3 more, Dongerhoek, 3 points. 3 points, go Middleburg Toll Plaza. 3 points, go Belfast. When you reach Nelspruit, your license is up for grabs. So we just need to be responsible drivers, all of us. But issues around training includes issues on those matters and the later stuff. But basically, once you are formalized and our interest is that you form, you become business people who will never go down. We need to ensure that we develop packages. Teacher is outside there. They know these things very well. We package study materials that they sustain you, strengthen and sustain you as a business person. And then also opportunity for the rest of your life. Now, as we go about our business, we always have a very important stakeholder called SABOA, our 10th province. And they always help us in shaping us our policy documents and related stuff. These are the issues that they have raised. And perhaps because this is a SABOA conference, it is just important and relevant that we flag them out, but also then perhaps try to deal with them. Now, SABOA saying, are you as government going to favor this organization at the expense of any other person? You see, we normally when I'm confronted with this type of questions, I tell people, normally when they say, why do you like taxes so much? I said to them, no, we are a Department of Transport, not a Department of Taxis, not a Department of SABOA, not a Department of Small Bus Operators. We are a Department of Transport. And that's why in our Act, we will never, when we create economic opportunities, like subsidization and so on, we will never talk to groupings like small bus operators or SABOA, whatever. But we contract, we've got this social obligation or contract with an individual. You understand? When I say individual, it could be an entity or so on and so on. But just to allay SABOA's fears, we will never favor this. More especially when we get to tendering, and we never compromise competition laws in this country. But of obvious reasons, there are also SMME legislation and related issues, and they tell us to behave in a particular way. The PPF Act tells us as a government institution to behave in a particular way. Now, We cannot create a vehicle so that we channel everything to it. No, I told you I have a business in the operations of public transport in any manner whatsoever. What we are doing is these people, now what I said, should they really suffer and suffer until I told you, everybody, even the BRT people, you can ask them today, the real via people, when they talk empowerment and integration, they go and talk to the taxi people only. They don't go to the small bus operators. There's an operating entity in Via. The empowerment partner there are taxi people only. Maybe because it is black. See, small bus operators, they start with a taxi, buy 2 taxis, and then when they make more profit, they go and buy a 35-seater and end up with a 65-seater. So maybe their lives are so black, it is not so really clear who are these small bus operators. But I think everyone of them have made their say in terms of what constitutes small bus operators. And I'm sure that question is going to come. Now, will small bus operators be the first in line when it comes to government tenders? Not as small bus operators. But obviously, I said to you, we adhere to the laws of this country, the policies of this country, SMME laws, PPPF, they guide us, but we cannot go to you and be biased towards you. We will only be biased in terms of your office needs and administrative needs, perhaps. Okay? But we can't. The tender rule, we write a tender there and say only SANSBOC should tender. Doesn't work that way. This is South Africa. Okay, so I'm sure that we definitely have dealt with that one. And the issues around our adjudication. This was not surprising coming from Sabor. The perception that government will in most instances select the lowest tender. No, that is a rule. The rule of the game is that we should go to the lowest priced tender, again, when we are. But we are very clear, we know these things. We know that the people with vehicles and everything else and infrastructure will always come lower because I never want the overhead still up. And if they've got a big business, they're able to cross-subsidize. Now, that's why price is not always the determining factor. Okay? And that's why I say to all of us in here, we believe that the best model is negotiation because it's a win-win. And when we negotiate, we say to you, all right, it's fine, give us 30% so that it's spread around the small bus operators. Oh, I don't, any reasonable person will never say no, because one, he or she will be guaranteed business for 12 years. But 2, he would have assisted the cause of government to empower small bus operators, to empower SMMEs. So it's a win-win. Now, somebody said, no, fair is fair, let's go competitive tendering. We will go there, we'll set the rules, we'll put set aside, we'll insist on subcontracting, we'll just put in this uncomfortable cost. This is not really necessary. So let's negotiate. Well, I favor it. The people who drafting amendments to the legislation, they are gone. But that's basically the favored model. I'm told I must wrap up. Now, it still looks yellow. Now, what we are trying to say is that as government, we know our own limitations. The issues around capacity is not something that we can bear or hang our dignity in public. we welcome the wonderful suggestions and wisdom from the industry, including Saboa, when we deal with matters like this. You will remain our important stakeholder, as we have done before in terms of shaping up policy of government, not dictating policy. And with those few ways, I believe that the document will finalize it, and as a result, it will become a reality for the South. This small bus operators council is going to become a reality. We just need to get around issues of what happens to other councils that have formed themselves on a voluntary basis. And what is small in this definition of small bus operators? Is it the number of vehicles? Is it the turnover? And so on and so on. Those are the issues that we're trying to find out.